Ashe, my beautiful people, it's your girl Mama Faria, and today we're gonna be talking about the mitochondrial Eve. Ooh, let's get into it. Happy Black Futures Month! I'd like to give a shout out to my girl, my sister Trinetti, who is a regenerative artist, a singer, a bassist, a sound healer, and the founder of a regenerative arts company. Most of this information is channeled from the Divine Mother, and some of it also comes from her. I'm gonna put her music and her products down below in the bio so you can go and support her and check her out, because we're over here trying to uplift, because women of color have to uplift other women of color, you feel me? Especially because today we are talking about the mitochondrial Eve, the great African mother where we all came from. So who is the mitochondrial Eve? Who is the great Black mother? Basically, we all come from Africa. I don't know if this is news to y'all. I don't know. Some of y'all still a little bit hesitant or like still don't believe that. But science has long proved that we all have a genetic code that links back to the motherland, Africa. Deeper than that, they even found a woman that existed up to 200,000 years ago, the beginning of humanity, that actually holds the genetic makeup of every single human on Earth, making her the official great mother of humanity, the mitochondrial Eve. We all come from a Black woman, just like we all come from the Earth. What is the story of mitochondrial Eve? What is the African Eve story? The story of mitochondrial Eve is connected to the story of humanity. It's a story of pain, of separation, of confusion and amnesia. It is a story of reclamation, of healing, of liberation, of transformation. It's definitely an Afrofuturist story. The story is that all of humanity's pain is rooted in the original mother wound, the disconnection from the great African Mother Earth. The root of colonization, the root of capitalism, the root of the patriarchy, the root of all systems of oppression are rooted in the disconnection from the great African mother, the mitochondrial Eve. For the first 170,000 years of humanity, everyone was melanated. 170,000 years ago, people started migrating out of Africa, out of the motherland, and into different places across the earth. When modern Europeans left Africa, they left Africa too early. Just like if you were to be born prematurely, or if you left the womb earlier than you were supposed to. Not only were they in a vulnerable space because they no longer had the access to the abundant fertility of the earth that Africa provided, but they had lack of melanin, which protected them, and some of them did not have wombs, which also protected them. Now, we already got into the technology of the womb. Now, just for a little bit, for the sake of this video, because I'm gonna make videos about this in the future, we're gonna get into the technology of melanin. Melanin is an electrical conductor. Like a crystal, it gives and receives confirmation. Melanin is almost like a constant electrical transmitter, creating a feedback in the electromagnetic field so that we are in conversation with creation. Melanin stopped existing from 7 to 11,000 years ago. And my belief is that people who don't have melanin or who have very little melanin are susceptible and more vulnerable to getting hijacked by malevolent forces. I believe the colonizers were first hijacked by malevolent elite forces. And those energies hijacked them because they didn't have a womb and because they didn't have their melanin. They disconnected them from the source of all creation, Great Spirit. And after that disconnection from Great Spirit, that's when they also were disconnected from the earth, Great Mother, which is Africa. This is what I call the original mother wound. The first disconnection happened with the earth. When they saw the earth as a resource instead of the source of where they came from, when they saw it as seeing the earth as a subject instead of a living entity, a living body, when they started seeing the earth as a thing rather than their mother, that's when they started developing an extractive relationship with the earth rather than a reciprocal, respectful relationship with the earth. When they colonized the earth, they then started colonizing women. Women hold the wisdom of the earth in their wombs. When they started colonizing the earth and they realized that women were in deep relationship with the earth, and I'm talking about indigenous women in Europe, indigenous women in Africa, indigenous women all over the world, That's when you start seeing the burning times. That's when you start seeing the rape of all of these women. Now, after the burning times, after the creation of the patriarchy, which may or may have not started in that timeline, because I know the patriarchy is kind of an astral war that's been happening for a while, they went to the African and indigenous people, the people who had melanin and the people who had wombs. They went and attacked the people who were the original children of the earth. Now, these malevolent elite forces that hijacked the colonizers couldn't get to the women and couldn't get to the melanated people on their own because we had forces protecting us. So they had to go to the most vulnerable people of the human race to create that cycle of trauma. And finally, when they colonized, raped, pillaged, and murdered Black and indigenous women, they created the New World, aka America, and basically the whole modern capitalistic patriarchal colonial society that we live in today. Basically, the foundation of Western civilization today was built off of dark magic. And it is specifically built off of the siphoning extraction of Black and indigenous people, specifically Black and indigenous women of color. And if we reverse the story all the way back, this is rooted in the disconnection from the great African mother, the mitochondrial Eve. And if you look at the way that the systems of oppression are built, the people on the very bottom are often women with dark melanated skin. Africa. Also, America and UK's wealth is built off of the abundance of Africa. So the reason Africa is so poor and is in poverty is because America has extracted all the resources from Africa to feed itself, just like white men extracted the resources from African women during colonization and still today to feed their own agendas. White supremacy and other systems of oppression are rooted in the extraction of Black women, just as they are rooted in the extraction of the earth. These malevolent systems of oppression that were created to enslave us extract from the most fertile, abundant, nourishing energy, which is the great African mother energy, which is every brown woman, every indigenous woman. They extract from the source of life itself to create something that is anti-life. The white men who colonized rejected the source of where they came from. They rejected the feminine, and they rejected Africa. Our rejection of where we came from is an anti-life technology within itself. When we do not acknowledge and appreciate and honor where we came from, that creates a distorted ripple effect within the genetic makeup of the DNA that manifests as separation, fear, hatred, and pain, which is what happened with colonialism. So colonialism is rooted in the rejection of Blackness, in the rejection of woman, in the rejection of the earth, specifically in the rejection of the mitochondrial Eve, the African mother. Which brings us to where we are today, drowning in these systems of oppression that were made to enslave us. We're all able to acknowledge that we all come from Africa, that we all come from an African woman. Energetically, that heals the distortion that happened as a result of colonization. We're able to return to the source of who we are. Especially if you're a woman of color, it is deeply healing to reclaim the truth that we all come from an African womb. Because that sort of spirituality is not transcendental, it's not escapist. Not only is it rooted in science, but it's also rooted in the body, it's rooted in the soma, which is what feminine spirituality is all about. This is why reconnecting to the mitochondrial Eve is the key to healing humanity. We are able to remember where we came from and reconnect to the source of all life, which is the African woman, the earth, the great mother, great spirit. We are able to undo all the damage that colonization and the patriarchy and capitalism created, and we are able to truly create and live in a world that is for everybody. We are truly able to live in a world where everyone is one. And it's not unity consciousness, it's multiplicity consciousness. Recognizing that we are all different and vibrant in our own diverse manners. A place where we celebrate diversity, where everybody has the same access to opportunities, to food, to abundance, to basic needs. This new earth is a place where everybody has the same access to the frequency of love and abundance. Reconnection with the Great Mother is feminine spirituality. It is reconnection with the body, reconnection with the earth, reconnection with the memories of the earth. It is reconnection with the womb. It is reconnection with spirits. It is also reconnection with all hidden and suppressed emotions that we need to feel in order to heal. It's all connected. The destruction of the earth, the oppression of people of color, the oppression of women, the oppression of queerness, it's all connected and rooted in the same wound, which is the rejection of the Great Mother. This is a part of the video when I'm going to briefly enter into the topic of white feminism. The divine feminine culture in the New Age is white feminism. It is distorted and rooted in this rejection of the great African mother. There's a big problem here. When I see women talking about divine feminine, it's usually white women. They carry internalized structures of racism and colonialism without being aware of it, and they perpetuate the same thing just through a feminist perspective. And white feminism is also not intersectional and anti-LGBTQ. The real, authentic, deeply rooted, ancestral divine feminine is fierce, she is protective, and she does not bypass. Real divine feminism does not bypass systems of oppression, pain, genocide, marginalization. The real divine feminine energy stands up for all of her children. She fights against injustice because that fight is an act of divine unconditional love. Divine feminine energy, even though it's receptive, it is equally as powerful. The divine feminine energy is the tidal wave that comes in to clear out all impurities, all distortion. When we reject and push away the more fierce aspects of the divine feminine energy, because it is quote unquote masculine, that is actually rejecting the melanated experience of being in the feminine energy. The Great Mother is soft and passive just as she is powerful and fierce. I don't see that within New Age cultures, especially in the face of genocide, oppression, and marginalization. The real rooted ancestral divine feminine energy is not afraid of darkness. It is not afraid of facing evil and demolishing it with her fierceness. The feminism that exists in the New Age culture is still the wounded feminine. It is rooted in the erasure of blackness, in the erasure of the mitochondrial Eve. I'm not going to go too much into this topic because my next video will be specifically about white feminism in New Age communities. I think that is coming up a lot, especially with the genocide that is happening in Palestine. This is why I'm so passionate about reconnecting with the mitochondrial Eve. When we connect with the mitochondrial Eve, when everybody reconnects with the mitochondrial Eve, we are able to heal on so many levels. Because again, I believe that the root of humanity's pain is a disconnection from her energy. And with that, I'm just gonna shamelessly advertise my sister Trinity and I and another beautiful sister. We are going to be facilitating a sound healing and cacao ceremony dedicated to returning to the great African mother, February 29th in Boulder, Colorado. So for all my local Denver, Boulder folks, come through. And if you're BIPOC, you get in for free. All right, y'all, that was my video. Thank you so much for listening. I want to continue connecting with my content, with my art. Here is my music video, Goddess of Creation. Here is my album, Goddess of Creation, dedicated to the awakening of the divine feminine. Here's my latest video, and here's my lyric video, Moonstone. All right, y'all, may the divine mother be with you. May the mitochondrial Eve shake you up, wake you up, and yeah, happy Black Futures Month. Ashe.